just a second ago of our good friend who has gone one better. Rather than being content with the telephone, we get to see him live and in color, as we used to say back in the day. Michael Reagan, welcome back to America's Forum.
Good to be with you.
Now, Michael, last week we were in this situation, taking a look at one of the president's speeches about proposed military action and hearkening back to what your dad had to say in the mid-1980s when an air assault was launched against Gaddafi in Libya. We've had a chance to get a more formal, more directed presidential pronouncement, presidential address from Barack Obama earlier this week. As you saw that speech, less than 15 minutes in length, what is your reaction to what President Obama had to say?
I mean, people need to understand, he's created the mess he, in fact, is in today. I mean, he helped create ISIL when he pulled all the troops out of Iraq. He should have listened to George W. Bush. He should have listened to his Joint Chiefs of Staff. He should have listened to his Secretary of State, Hillary Clinton. He should have listened to those people who had a lot more knowledge than he did, because remember, after all, what he is a organizer, community organizer, and that's basically the level that he's risen to. He should have listened to those people in the know. My father, listened to the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Bill Clinton listened to the Joint Chiefs of Staff and others. This president, in his arrogance, has not. Instead, he's waiting for the people to make a decision and tell him what they want him to do. You cannot listen to the American people in this situation and find out what we want you to do, because we don't have all of the information that you, in fact, should have. My father, when he went into Iraq, didn't hold a press conference until after they went into, not Iraq, I should say, but into Libya. Sometimes you have to just be president of the United States. We would have supported him going into Syria the other night while he was speaking. But why are you telling those who you want to go to war against what you will and you will not do? You do not do those type of things in this type of a setting that he has put himself into.
And of course, there is a difference between strategic ambiguity, not revealing the strategy, and an absence of strategy, which the president the other week in saying we didn't have a strategy, that was one of the problems. Michael, here's the problem here and now. It doesn't appear the White House, representatives of the administration, can describe what the result needs to be, what victory will mean, how we come to a victory. Let's take a listen to an exchange from a recent White House briefing.
That actually helps a little bit for my second question, which is a little bit broad and a little bit hypothetical. But what does a victory look like here? I mean, you've talked about destroying ISIL. I honestly don't know what that means. What does it mean?
I didn't bring my Webster's dictionary with me up here. I think that,
come on.
well, it's only.
Talking about that,
I
understood it when he said.
I think that's a pretty illustrative phrase to use to describe the situation that we envision.
Josh Earnest trying to make jest of a final goal. We heard earlier comments from President Obama early in his administration, not in the here and now, actually deride victory as an ultimate goal of American foreign policy, albeit in different contexts. What do you make of what appears to be continued confusion at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue?
Well, JD, they're scrambling. They're running polls. I mean, this is not a situation where you run a poll every time the president says something to find out how people are reacting to it. America reacts to winners. America reacts to victory. You don't have to define victory. We know what victory is when we see it. We absolutely do. But they are scrambling at this point at the White House when they should be sitting down with the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff and and all of the military leaders to find out what they need to do. Because now what they've done is running this flag up the pole. They now are going to have Putin involved. They're going to have a whole lot of other people involved in what's going to be going on in Syria now, because he's basically said this is what we're going to do, because he felt that's what the American people wanted to hear, that we'll go into Syria if necessary and take out ISIL if we need to take out ISIL. He didn't have to tell me that. Just take out ISIL. And so by leading in this way, from behind or the middle or wherever he thinks he is, he's basically just said to the Russians and Putin and everybody else, this is my plan, this is what I'm going to do. And you will see, mark my words, you're going to see Putin react in the future to this, because remember who Putin supports. He supports the Syrian leadership and Assad in Syria. That's who he supports. And so when you go to war against Syria, are you basically also going to war in some way against Putin and Russia?
About a minute remains, Michael. There is a war of words and clashing attitudes over Ray Rice in the NFL. You wrote a column about it. In the minute that remains, give us your perspective on the Ray Rice case.
Well, my perspective is, I don't know if this was a one-off. I don't know if he'd been beating her on a regular basis. I don't know. And again, and I talk about this in the article, that we conservatives with Ferguson, Missouri said, well, let's wait till we see everything. Forget the original video. Let's find out what happened before. I don't know what happened before. I don't know when they got on the elevator. Had they been drinking? Did she spit in his face? Did she slap him? I don't know all the information. Here we are reacting to a single frame, basically, in a video and ruining a guy's career, when indeed so much goes on.
Mike Reagan, as always, we appreciate your insights on very different topics today. Thanks again, and America's Forum continues after this.